Welcome back to LUMF.
Thank you.
Good to see you guys.
Good to be here.
Is it? That sounded sarcastic.
You could ruin it quickly if you like.
Yeah. This is a good if people have been following along since season 1 into season 2, you'll know that Maddy and I have some beef to settle.
Yep.
I had to step out back in season 1 due to illness.
Was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what was that?
Maddy used that opportunity to just
Capitalize.
sully my good name without me present. She said that she thought I was 15 years older than her.
What?
I did.
Yeah.
It was a moment of bad math. I think we're only 7 or 8 years apart.
Yeah. Much closer than 15. And then there's been lots of talk about my gray hair, which I can't control. Okay. And I've said nothing but nice things about you.
I
To her
don't
face,
know.
at least.
I feel like nice things is a stretch.
Neutral, at least.
Also, I feel like you're really dragging this through the mud.
It's true. I've just been waiting
I've
for this
over
moment.
for months.
Wow.
Of course you would be over it.
She
I'm
got bored
sorry
of
if I
teasing
hurt
you.
your feelings.
It's fine. I forgive you.
You actually have great hair. It's just
Oh.
gray.
It is great. I'm not self-conscious about it being
It's
gray.
just grey. What's wrong with grey?
I'm not. It's fine.
I'm entering the grey territory.
It happens. You got some in the beard, a little bit.
Some white.
This, I skipped grey. I just went white.
It comes in, and it is what it is.
It's ever since Maddy started doing mission stuff at church. Grey hair, white hair.
Do you know what? When I first met Maddy, I had a lot more dark hair.
That's actually true. Your hair was like black when I met you.
Yeah. So
Gone white pretty quick.
common denominator here.
At least it's not. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
Nice.
Yeah, I was going to isolate a few of our listeners
Very
and
good.
viewers, and then they would feel self-conscious. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
how you look.
Okay, today we're wrapping up chapter 3,
Yes.
Luke, with one of my favorite passages of Scripture.
I think you should read it.
No,
first.
no.
I really
I
think
said that kind of sarcastically. This, we're looking at verse 23 to 38. If you have your Bible open, this is a genealogy. Honestly, around the table, how many genealogies have you read thoroughly while reading the Bible?
I plead the fifth.
I have read them. Like, when you do beginning of last year, I think we both did it. You read through the Bible front to back
Yeah.
in a month. I think I did it in 6 weeks. But anyways, I felt guilty skipping those things, so I did read it. But I would have read it really fast in my head. I would not have tried to.
You just made up the names, didn't you? Yeah.
I would
Shish kebab begot.
skip.
You
I'm
know,
like that-
Shazam. Just make up the names.
There's like those like passages in the Old Testament that's just like so and so begot so and so begot.
Genealogies
so-and-so.
are so important, and what those names represent. They actually tell a story. It's quite profound.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll try to get to. But I'm just a moment of honesty. I don't read them very often. But
I meditate on them.
do you?
No.
One at a time, each name, just mull it over.
I struggle remembering people's names. I'm not going to meditate on them.
No.
I should maybe do a better job.
But we want to talk a little bit about why genealogies are important, what they can teach us,
Yeah.
and look at a few of the names that make it into the genealogy of Jesus.
Yeah, we'll just pick out a few that we can pronounce.
Yeah, the easy ones to pronounce.
Yeah.
So
The
Luke
anglicized ones.
isn't the only gospel writer that has a genealogy. Matthew also has one.
Yes.
We talked about this earlier.
Yeah, we touched on that, talking about Jesus, or Mary and Joseph as the son of David.
Yeah.
Joseph as the son of David.
One of the key differences, and I just think this gets to Luke's purpose in this genealogy, is Matthew starts his genealogy at Abraham. Matthew's writing to a primarily Jewish audience. So he's trying to make the point. In
Abrahamic
his
covenant. Yeah.
Jesus is the fulfillment of this. If you look really quickly all the way down to verse 38, Luke goes all the way to Adam.
Yeah,
The
flex.
Son of God.
Flex.
Big flex.
Luke flexed on Matthew hard.
Well, and he doesn't even stop at Adam. He says, son of Adam, son of God.
Right. So I guess,
So,
yeah.
just
He
saying,
doesn't.
just
I was
saying.
like, Luke's one of those one-up people, you know?
Yeah,
We've all got him.
yeah, I see you, Matthew, and I raise you, God.
The only time that you couldn't answer with Jesus and win.
Yeah. But I think what Luke's getting at is that Jesus isn't just the hope of the Jewish people or the fulfillment of that covenant, but he is the hope and the fulfillment of all people.
Which is important because he's writing to Gentiles.
Yeah. People outside of the covenant, hey, this includes you.
You're in.
You get to be part of it.
You're in.
Now, when you look at any genealogy, there's maybe some names that you recognize.
Have you looked at yours?
No, I do want to do one of those one day.
I found out my great-grandmother's name was Emma.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't realize that her name was that old. Her being my wife.
Yeah. I get that.
It's a bit of a made-up name, you know?
My
Emma.
grandmother's name is Hazel. That sounds
Hazel.
like a
colour.
grandmother's name.
Or a nut.
Yeah.
Your grandma's a nut, mate.
What if she's dead?
She's dead. No, I can't. She's not dead.
Oh, sorry.
You're a dark person, eh?
But no, I can't go there. Let's be on the internet. I love my grandma.
No, okay.
She's awesome. There's some names in a genealogy that you would expect to be there. And then you see some as you look closer. There's some interesting ones. And you got to remember, like, this is like Luke or Matthew or whoever's writing this genealogy. They're trying to prove a point with something. They're trying to teach us something important about Jesus in this case.
When you say interesting names, do you mean like interesting sounding, you can't pronounce it, or interesting like, wow, that's an ancestor of Jesus?
Both.
Okay.
Because if I were trying to like prop Jesus up, for instance, and I was writing a genealogy, I might edit certain names out to like keep that line nice and pure. Especially in this context of like how important genealogies were in the time. It's not really a big thing for us now. Like no one really cares who your grandfather was. Like it's not a status symbol for most people. This is
Unless it's like Ben Franklin or something like that.
sure. I mean, if I had like a really famous like I am distantly related to Rick Hansen.
Who's that?
He's the guy that went around the world in his wheelchair.
Went across Canada.
No, that you're thinking of Terry Fox.
No.
He did a
Also
world
Rick
tour.
Hansen.
World tour.
Oh.
I think he's a
Pull it up, Jamie.
Wait, can I just ask? Is there a difference? I'm going to get judged heavily for this. Was he in a car?
No, he was in a wheelchair.
Oh, okay.
He didn't just drive around the world. He was in a wheelchair.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Did you say the same thing?
It could be. That's what I'm saying. One's mechanical.
Right. Okay. I get that.
Okay,
So
he
there-
was in a manual wheelchair that he had to push himself. He was.
He would have
not
been jacked.
in like an
very
electrical.
jacked. Yes.
Imagine if you had to walk around the world.
Mm-hmm.
What sounds worse?
Wheelchair.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think
Smaller
that'd be harder.
muscles.
Confirmed. All right, good.
Yeah.
Just
Going
making sure.
downhill would be nice. Uphill hard.
Fair enough.
So there are cases we've established that maybe you would pull out someone in your genealogy. But in the genealogy of Jesus, you get some people that just seem like shady characters.
Yeah.
Let's look at a few that are interesting that make it into this genealogy.
All right.
Not all are shady, that we'll note. But
So we can start off with Judah.
Son of Judah.
Yeah. Now Judah's important because obviously Israel is split into 12 tribes, and so it's important that he's part of the tribe of Judah. That's a good thing to know.
there is prophecies that the Messiah would come from the tribe of Judah.
Yes. Yeah. But when we look at earlier in Judah's life, before that promise was given to him, he was kind of sketchy.
Like weird, almost like Game of Thrones. I actually haven't watched Game of Thrones, so I don't know.
No, you showed your cards. You showed your cards.
Shoot, I haven't.
Yep.
I haven't.
Classic. You just got Christian cancelled, mate.
Dang it. What's another way that I can get uncancelled? I don't know.
I'll take it, mate. Cancelled. It's like a little bit of Jerry Springer.
Yeah, that's a good one. I used to watch that every once in a while when my parents weren't watching.
Judah, Judah, Judah. We should
You are
laugh.
not
It was
the
a,
father.
it was a rough. That's what he said, eh?
Yeah. So go on. Let's tell some stories about Judah.
Okay, well, first of all, he was...
Not the eldest.
No, he wasn't.
A lot of people think he is.
He was fourth born to Jacob. Also, we have to remember his youngest brother, Joseph. You know, with the many colors in his coat. I think that's how it goes.
Joseph in the Technicolor coat.
And it was actually Judah's idea to sell him into slavery when Joseph was sent to Egypt.
I've done some mean things to my brothers growing up.
Did you ever sell them into slavery?
I've never sold them into slavery.
Was he, just to think this out loud, but was he trying to save his life?
Oh, maybe. Because his brothers wanted to kill him.
Correct.
Oh, I see.
Did he just
That's
give
a
them...
nice way of spinning the story. But
Saying, did he give him a lesser evil? Kept him alive?
Maybe.
Gave him some struggles to thrive in. Next minute, he's leading all of Egypt under Pharaoh.
Although
Maybe Judah
I
did him
don't
a
know if it was-
solid.
I don't know if it was next minute.
13 years, 1 minute.
But also, I don't know if selling your brother into slavery, you're like, oh yeah, this is going to help him become king and leader over Egypt. It's more like selling him into slavery. I'm like,
Just saying, Jesus.
Just keep his conscience a
he's
line
gonna
of
Judah.
Judah.
suffer forever.
I'm saying. Got his name in there, didn't he?
He just didn't want to take on the blame of killing him. So he's like, if we put him into slavery, none of us have to admit to killing him.
He's a
right now.
coward.
Just saying.
Do you reckon?
I think so.
I just think he was diplomatic. He's probably a peacemaker, you know what I mean?
Come on, guys.
But I think when we learn more about Judah, we've got to lean towards what you guys think of him.
I think
He's
so.
a bit of a dirty dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that, Maddy?
Well, first of all, we see that he married a Canaanite woman
That
first.
doesn't make...
No,
My comment's not justified by that.
no,
It's
not.
what he does later. Just
Yes.
clarifying that so people aren't like...
Okay, so after he marries the Canaanite woman, then he married,
Why is that a problem?
because God's children, the Jewish people, were supposed to marry within.
So they're instructed
Yes.
to remain within...
Yeah, which is the descendants of Abraham. He's supposed to stay within those bounds, but he married a Canaanite, which was not considered okay at the time. And then we have Tamar, who comes along. And that's a bit of a strange story.
So Tamar married
His
one of Judah's
oldest son.
sons. And that son,
Died.
sad.
Yeah.
And what was custom now was the next in line, the next son, would marry the widow to give children to the oldest son that had passed away.
Okay.
Yeah. But then he also died.
Wow. Rough.
Now, we don't need to get into it. Keep this PG. But the Bible has some pretty specific details of what kind of things this second son did.
Judah gets frisky.
This is even before that. I don't want to,
We can skip over it.
we'll skip over it. But if you want it, it's in the Bible. We didn't put it there. It's, but he dies.
The second one
Yeah.
dies.
So then Judah goes to Tamar and says, he should have given her then to his third son, but he refuses.
Why does he refuse?
Well, probably because he doesn't want the third one to die. It's like the last one.
Yeah.
She just got a bad omen or something.
Yeah, like we discussed, Maddy might be the common denominator of our gray. He's looking like, Tamar, you're the common denominator. My son's dying.
That's why Pastor Matt doesn't want to be friends with me. He's worried he'll go gray.
That's true.
rude. I'll talk to him.
I'm just kidding.
No.
Pastor Matt and I are friends. He might start.
Master
popping
Pat.
out grace.
So what does Tamar do? Because
So Judah doesn't do what's customary, doesn't
Mhm.
fill a promise.
But
Don't-
Tamar needs a husband,
So what does she do?
so she pretends to be someone else.
a prostitute.
Yes, who apparently Judah is fond of, that type of person. So she pretends and tricks him.
When we say
And-
tricks,
Yeah.
I just want to clarify. She doesn't trick him into the act of what they end
No,
up doing.
he-
She just tricks him in believing she's someone different.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He's fully aware of what
Yeah,
he's
he
doing.
went to see a prostitute.
Yes.
Didn't expect that prostitute would be his daughter-in-law.
Daughter-in-law.
And
That
she
he has-
disguised herself.
Yeah.
So then it comes out later. She keeps some of his items. She becomes pregnant in that encounter. She keeps some of these items because he gets upset.
He makes a deal with it, doesn't he?
Well, what happens when his daughter-in-law becomes pregnant and he doesn't know that he's the father? He's now mad because she has committed adultery somehow in his mind. After that encounter, she kept a few of his items, and she's really sneaky, and she goes to him and says, the person that these belong to is the father, is the one who I laid with.
This
he's
is
like,
shocking.
That's my stuff.
This is shocking stuff.
So
This
now he
is-
knows he's goofed.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then she gives birth to twins. So he marries her because he had to, kind of.
It's a wild time in history.
This is the Wild West. Hey?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. He makes a statement about her. Hey? He says that she's more righteous than him.
Yeah, which is interesting because you're kind of like, okay, both of you are interesting, have made interesting decisions with your life. But in that, we kind of see him recognizing that he had shorted her, that he had done her wrong, and that in a way she had done what she thought was necessary to
Yeah.
survive, really.
Right.
This is a big turning point for him.
Yeah, it is.
So it's good to note that he marries her, but he doesn't have relations with her again.
Ever again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So someone might be wondering, because there's even more to the story, more
Yeah.
details, but like, why are we spending so much time talking about this? There's dozens of names here. Why are we talking about this name? Because there's names in here too that don't fit this description
No,
Yeah.
of
that's
humanity.
just that's up there with messed up.
Yeah. It's a spicy story to tell. That's
I don't like it, but anyway.
but what's the theme? Like what's the point in getting that in relation to this genealogy?
Well, I think that when we look, like when we follow Judah even later, and then we see the 12 tribes come to be, and we see the blessing that Judah is given as for his descendants, we really see like this redemption story that we see throughout the entire Bible, and that we see like God's redemption story. And then to have that as an ancestor to Jesus, I think is really significant, and to have Jesus come out of that. Also, we see like Genesis 49 is the blessing to Judah, and it specifically says, the scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until he to whom it belongs shall come, and the obedience of the nations shall be his. He will tether his donkey to a vine, his colt to the choicest branch. He will wash his garments in wine, his robes in the blood of grapes. His eyes will be darker than wine, his teeth whiter than milk. So in that verse, Genesis 49:10, we're actually seeing Jesus, being the descendant of Judah, prophesied like way ahead of time. So
And I think what I love about seeing names like this in genealogy in the lines of Jesus is you're right. You said this before. You see this redemptive nature of God at play
yeah.
in the whole story, because God always has to work through broken people.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we make the mistake when we read the scripture sometimes to think we see these like crazy stories that we're like, what is happening here? Like, this is messed up. And somehow think, well, why is that happening? Or did God make this happen? Sometimes the Bible is just descriptive of what people decided to do, their brokenness. Yet God remains faithful to his promise to work through broken people.
Yeah.
And he's faithful to continue to bless even though we're broken. So you see the reason I suppose we highlight this story and all like the weirdness and chaos is that he makes it into the genealogy of Jesus, not because he's perfect. Far from it. Doesn't make it here because he made great decisions. Yeah. Even all the way back to Adam. Like Adam blows it right at the beginning. Like you see all this line of people. You see foreigners like outside of the covenant line of God. You see, every time you see, like there's the name Boaz in there, which reminds us of Ruth, who was outside of covenant, brought in, and the grandmother of David. Like all of these things is like God works through broken humanity. He works through outsiders. He works through forgotten people. He works out through sinners to accomplish his purpose. Ultimately here, Jesus, the Son of God. Which is, I think if we step back, and we're almost out of time, there's more we could get into for sure. But when I think about our life, it reminds me, hey, in my brokenness, in my missteps, in my sin, God, it can still work his plan through me. Yeah. And when I look at the world around us, sometimes I get super discouraged. I think like, what? The world is crazy. Why are people the way that they are? And whatever. We all have our worldview and things that matter to us and things that frustrate us. But I can think, God, where are you in all of this? And when I think of some of the stories in this genealogy, there's moments that people must have felt, God, where are you? Like you, but God is working in ways we don't always see. He's got a redemptive plan that he's working out for the world around us that we don't always have a full grasp of. But when we look back, we say, oh God, that's what you were doing. You still used broken, sinful people in broken situations to bring about your purposes.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like Luke's writing. It's quite smart.
He's very smart.
I like that he does the genealogy to Adam, the first Adam to the second Adam.
Yeah.
Because Luke's all about the humanity.
Yeah.
The first man failed, the second, and all the broken people in between. That's pretty cool. Lots to think about.
Lots there. Grab a commentary if you want to dig deeper into it.
There's some really interesting characters in that genealogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, as always, good to be with you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.